Baseball, announcers, romance, and music. What in the world could these 4 topics have in common? Well, use your imagination. Stay with me. Hang in there. For me, listening to baseball and watching it, I watch it on YouTube because I only have to watch the highlights, which is the best way to watch baseball. There's no way I could sit still and watch an entire game. For me, the announcers really add an enthralling level of excitement. What does it take to be a good announcer? Obviously, you better know the game. You don't necessarily have to have played in the game because when I was doing my research, not that many of announcers were actually in the sport itself. But they do have an extensive knowledge of plays, what is illegal, what is unique, the acrobatic prowess of some of these athletes they always highlight. One of the benefits of listening to these announcers call out these acrobatic events is that I can stop it on YouTube, I can rewind it, replay it, and see something magnificent, really funny. And that's another reason why I like watching baseball on YouTube, because I can look up the bloopers, I can look up the highlights from a game. I think it's easier to watch sports that way. I don't follow all of the teams, just a few, so that my friends and I will have something to talk about. That's how I address baseball on YouTube. The other aspect that I like about the announcers is their whole tone of voice, their inflection, because it's listening to them that adds a whole nother dimension of fun. These announcers, the really good ones, have a great time announcing the baseball game. I know it's going to be a controversial statement. However, I've listened to the female sportscasters. I don't know why. Their voice doesn't carry the same inflection, doesn't carry the same tone, not exactly the same announcement, and maybe because it has, of course, that feminine quality to it that kind of detracts from baseball. I'm not saying I don't listen to the game, but sometimes I don't. If I don't like an announcer's voice, I won't listen to the game. Listening to the announcer, though, it really is music to my ears. I can listen to a baseball game and actually calm down because there's a little bit going on in the world that makes me a little nervous right now. I turn to watching baseball on YouTube. The other point that I wanted to make about the announcers is that they have the ability to really paint a picture. Some of the most famous sportscasters, when I was doing my research, is Vince Scully. Now, he is, rest in peace. I haven't listened to one of his games, but in doing the research, people said that you never even had to watch a game, that you could just listen to Vince Scully. I know Red Barber, I've listened to him call a game before, also rest in peace. I believe Bob Costa is one of the best current announcers, but there's others. That usually the same announcers on the games from what I have found. In reality, while I do like listening to the sports announcers while I'm doing something else around the house or whatever, usually preparing dinner, you really want to watch the game in reality because that's where you see these athletes become acrobats. You see the humor, you see the kindness from the baseball players when they interact with the audience. In essence, even though I believe the announcers are super important to the game, at the end of the day, you really want to be a participant, meaning you want to watch the game also. Making a segue now, a quantum leap into romance and music, here we go. I met someone who has a business called Romance by Choice. Bill Scalzitti, I'm hoping I pronounced his name correctly. I've lived in New York for 29 years. You'd think I'd have the Italian down. But it's a little different. It's Scal City. I believe it's Scal City. I remember the second part is pronounced like city. He has had his website, he's had his website, of course, since 2006, but he's had his business, Romance by Choice, since that time. It is a different kind of dating service, because what I think is unique about his service is that he begins with people learning, discovering what their self-worth is. He definitely addresses how to use the dating apps. He definitely addresses how to make a list, an imperative list, what is absolutely a deal breaker. He helps people, foremost, understand the importance of self-discovery. In essence, if you don't know your own self-worth, you're not going to be able to attract the person that you really want in your life. Many of us have heard about the law of attraction, but really what Bill is doing when he's helping people discover their self-worth, who they are, what they want out of life in a life partner, you really are going to begin the number one universal law, the law of vibration. When you perfect your own self-image, your own self-worth, by doing this through self-discovery with Bill's assistance with his program, you are going to impart that law of vibration. And that's what attracts the right person to whom you are. Here comes the music. Bill was a former musician. His life experiences through 2 former marriages has taught him through research how to help others. One of the things he discovered that he felt was missing from his own program was the intertwining of romantic music. He chose romantic songs to help people get in the mood of self-discovery of their partner. Being a former musician, he did a lot of the singing. Of course, he had to get copyright from some of the famous music, from the famous musicians. He had to get copyright permission to redesign the music so that he could be singing the music and performing the songs. I think this is such a unique and really cool idea. It's like the baseball announcers. It adds a whole nother level and dimension to learning about your own self-worth, your own journey in a romantic arena. I have his connection, I have his link on my podcast. Certainly look up his program. I think it's very affordable. It is audiobooks and then also a 65-page workbook. I bring him up in my podcast because summer romances seem to be part of the scene like baseball. That is one of the reasons I am doing my podcast for the next few months about baseball and romance, because I think we need to have some fun, a little more fun in our life, and I want things to be lighthearted. And that's why I've included these 2 seemingly disparate topics when they actually make a lot of sense together. Because wouldn't you like to go on a date to a baseball stadium? Probably not. Maybe many of you, but I love baseball, and I would think that would be a fun date. Kundalini Yoga, I have included, again, the crisscross heart Kriya, which gets rid of the past, especially for you folks who are entering the dating realm. If you are experiencing some anger, some anguish, just disappointment with the whole dating regime, practice this Kriya, because you want to get rid of your past experiences. The worst thing you can do when you start out dating again is talk about your past experiences to this new person that you may want in your life. Practice this Kriya called crisscross heart. It's just a chant. You can do it sitting in a chair. Lastly, wine. I also suggest, if you're going out to the baseball games or if you are starting out dating, check into mocktails. These are cocktails without any libations in them. There's no alcohol in these, and they're popular. You look cool when you drink them. They're not Shirley Temple. Some of them are really, really exquisite. You gotta be careful of the sugar level. To wrap this up, baseball and announcers, they simply go together as music and romance. Check out the clip that I have on this particular podcast, because it's one of the best athletic acrobatic moves I have seen. I always put free links on my podcast. Visit Bill Scout City's website, Romance by Choice, because you can listen to him and his wife talk about what they will provide for services for you. I think working the world of dating apps is really important in today's world also. Practice the Kundalini Kriya to help get rid of your past. Certainly look at the mocktails, because summer, you don't want to be inebriated. You really don't. A drink here and there is okay, but you want to be careful with your drinking. Lastly, I'm Valerie Hale. I produce this podcast once a week to help people's mindset, because remember, thoughts become things. Choose the good ones. I also teach an online course called Fear of Public Speaking. I help people manage their anxiety whenever they need to make a presentation, be that your elevator pitch, a presentation, a keynote, whatever. I'm here to help. One class, done. Merci, au revoir.